Welcome To the Foothills, a Colorado lifestyle and real estate podcast featuring mountain home real estate broker Robert Martin, who has over 25 years of experience assisting clients reach their goals and move forward. Tune in each week for a dynamic conversation with experts, Colorado adventurers, and residents that explores the ins, outs, and specific nuances of buying the perfect mountain home or selling your dream home in Evergreen, Conifer, Bailey, and surrounding areas to catch a glimpse into the Colorado lifestyle that's a part of you.
I'd like to welcome our guest, Matthew Ferry. I'm very honored, and it's a true pleasure. A good friend of mine and one that I'm very happy to have in my life. Matthew, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Robert. Glad that we are doing this. I'm excited about you and your podcast adventure. This is going to be great.
Yeah, me too. And I appreciate you joining us today. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
Sure, no problem. I am a author, a musician, songwriter. I'm a spiritual teacher, sort of a content creator extraordinaire, I think is really what you might call me. I am a father of 4 boys, an investor in blockchain and companies that are forwarding the blockchain and revolutionizing money. And that's it. Husband of Kristen, the amazing entrepreneur and artist.
Indeed, she is amazing. Yeah. And certainly a great life partner by your side. Yeah. So what inspired you to be a life coach? I've known you for probably 5 years, and it's just been an absolutely great experience to be able to attach to some of the things that that we talk about as far as moving forward with quieting our mind and that sort of thing. So what inspired you to do that and move forward?
That's a good question. When I was really young, I was having these crazy experiences where I felt like I was leaving my body on a regular basis, and I didn't know what it was, and I'm sure I wasn't leaving my body per se, but I was having these experiences that I couldn't explain, and it really drove me my entire life to figure out what was that? What is that? And there were these incredible states that I was experiencing. Early in my career, I got into productivity coaching with our family business. And our family business, my brother, father, and I grew our family business to be a really substantial player in the real estate agent training space. We trained real estate agents how to be productive and how to essentially build their businesses. And in that process, I got exposed to everything under the sun. But I got exposed to my father's mentor, a man named Earl Nightingale. And that really sparked my attention. And then I just went on this adventure from there to figure out, well, what is this mental state that leads to more happiness and more productivity? And that ultimately led me to exploring more Eastern techniques and meditative techniques, looking for ways in which I could quiet my mind and get back to that place that I was in when I was 9 years old and I was having these incredible experiences. I was like, whoa, this is incredible. I'm back again. And that was probably, 1999, I really hit a crescendo there. And I just decided I'm going to shift out of the productivity space and begin to only focus on this human potential space. How do we as individuals achieve and experience the most delicious experience of being alive? How do you do that?
Yeah, it's it's a process that I've gone through with you, and it's been absolutely wonderful. And without giving it all away, how would you describe enlightened prosperity?
Well, most people think of enlightened as a spiritual thing. I think the Buddhists kind of hijacked the term, really. But enlightened really just means that you have modern, rational knowledge, and that you're up to date with the latest information available. That's really what enlightened means. And there's an aspect of that. There's an aspect of it which is about being ridiculously honest that the survival part of you isn't working to your advantage anymore. It's not up to date. It's not enlightened. And so the enlightened part that I help people to achieve is a state of no mind that occurs because you recognize that you're safe and that everything's going to be okay and that nothing is actually wrong and that all the things that you think of as wrong are actually out of date information, not enlightened. So that's the enlightened part. And then prosperity is just doing well in whatever it is that you're going to do. So if you're going to work on mountain real estate projects, how do you do that in a way where you don't get frustrated and derailed by your own negative emotions on a regular basis, and you experience the best possible version of yourself? Enlightened prosperity.
So it's a synergy of the two. I think some people have the mindset that you can have one or the other, and you don't have to climb up into a cave and be quiet for the rest of your life. You can have both. You can have a quiet mind, you can have peace, love, and joy, but you can also have prosperity. And tying those two together, I think sometimes people get a little sidetracked and don't understand that it can happen and it can be done in synergy.
I think, Robert, if we're being honest, the vast majority of us who were interested in experiencing peace of mind, we end up looking towards some sort of religious philosophy or sort of tried and true mystical philosophies that are out there. And that stuff's old. It's like really old, like thousands of years old. And back then it made a lot of sense. Get away from everything. Get away from all the craziness of life if you want to get your mind quiet. And it implied that there was really no way in which you could experience profound states of peace while being in society. And I would say that back then that was really good advice. And actually, maybe even 100 or 200 years ago, that was still really good advice. But today we're living in a society where most of your negativity has been removed. Now, you still experience negativity, but that's because you're not enlightened. You're not up to date. You don't have a modern and rational way of dealing with the world. And if you take on a more modern, rational way of dealing with the world, then it's much easier for you to be at peace in day-to-day life.
It's a method, or it's a mindset on how to go through life each day. Remind yourself of what you're grateful for, all the beautiful things in life, but also have a life that you really enjoy, that you experience things, you do things, you're not sitting on the sideline, so to speak. Why did you decide to start your blog and your podcast?
Well, I haven't been doing much on my blog and my podcast lately. I've been doing TikTok videos these days. But
I saw those today. They're very nice.
Thank you. In general, my intention is to broadcast and disseminate the Rapid Enlightenment Process and to get it out there in the world such that people have an opportunity to sample it, address it, take it on, try it out, see how it works for themselves, essentially. So I started my podcast and my blog and my YouTube channel and right, all of it, really in the spirit of broadcasting and disseminating the Rapid Enlightenment Process.
And your book, Matthew, Quiet Mind, Epic Life, that's available anywhere, Amazon or anywhere.
Amazon, I would say it's specifically available on Amazon. You can also download the audiobook on Apple and things like that. But the book is on Amazon. Quiet Mind, Epic Life.
So in a nutshell, again, give us an overview of what we might find in that book in context.
No problem. Quiet Mind, Epic Life is really my first attempt at documenting the Rapid Enlightenment Process, which is something that I have been developing the majority of my life, but specifically over the last 12 to 15 years, I've zeroed in on this idea that you can get the mind to stop agitating you and barraging you with unwanted information and ideas. And so it begins with this idea that enlightenment is the recognition that the source of life for you is the source of life for everyone and everything, that we're all one thing, expressing itself with infinite variety. And if we are an expression of something that is expressing itself, that instantaneously removes a tremendous amount of consternation in regards to trying to control everything, because control is ultimately an illusion, whereas influence over life might be a better way to think about it. Then I go into 4 components to get your mind to go quiet. You need to start by essentially debunking the mind and seeing and recognizing that the mind, what I call the drunk monkey, has unconscious reflexes, and they are responding to the environment. And if you can see, if you have an awareness of these unconscious reflexes, then you can start to deactivate the survival thinking. To do that, you have to do the second part of the awareness process. So there's 2 awareness processes, and then there's 2 sort of active action processes. The second part is something that is very specifically unique to the Rapid Enlightenment process, and that is the recognition of what I call hidden motives to survive: greed, grudge, hatred, victim, illogical rules, humble, traitor, pride, lazy, and resistance. Those 10 things underpin 100% of every thought that you have that isn't an inspired, intuitive thought. Right? There's definitely 2 different kinds of thoughts. There's the ones you aren't asking for, that, or you're trying to figure out life. Those are typically survival based. Then there's like these inspired moments where you are pulled forward. That's something different. So you have to be aware of the drunk monkey, and you have to be aware of the hidden motives. Just the awareness alone makes you flexible. That reveals new options, and those options give you power. Then the next component is something called enlightened perspective. So if you're not going to have survival perspectives, what kind of perspectives do you take on? How do you contextualize the world? And enlightened perspectives are perspectives that assume that all is well in life. And in my book, in chapter 9, I outline some basic enlightened perspectives for people to take on, that when they do, it deactivates the survival mind and your mind goes quiet. And then finally, step 4 is to practice recontextualizing on the fly. So you and I, Robert, we began our process together of doing this podcast, and our sound wasn't working. And the natural response would be to start to get frustrated. And that frustration is based on some kind of resistance or pride, or like, I should know how to do this, and why isn't it working? And that am I wasting my time? But those kinds of things, they just pop up immediately. And so 1, you need to recognize what they are. Then 2, you have to practice putting them into the proper context, recontextualization, a context that assumes that all is well. And as you practice those 4 things in your life, let's call it 3, 6, 9 months later, you will have extended moments of what you could describe as pure bliss. It's incredible what happens. So cool.
The recontextualization is something that, like you said, there's a situation that comes up, and how you tactfully take that on, I guess, in a way that is empowering. And it's not one that leads you down a path where you start to feel fearful or angry. I think that's one that is really, really powerful. And it's great to be aware of those times as well, because they happen to all of us at all different times in our lives. Even though when we think we're feeling super, super good about things, life is absolutely wonderful, and something comes along that kind of throws a little wrench in it, and it continues to happen every day, and it will continue to, I guess, while we're humans on this planet. So just speak briefly on the Ignite Mastermind group that you spearhead.
The Ignite Mastermind group is just a group that I put together very specifically to practice the Rapid Enlightenment process. And we meet every single week, twice a week, to have discussions on the drunk monkey and the hidden motives and the recontextualization and the enlightened perspectives. And we do that over a 9-month to 1-year process, and essentially give people an opportunity to practice in a group what will for sure get your mind to go quiet and put you into greater and greater states of peace and empowerment.
Yeah, it's been absolutely wonderful as a member of the Ignite Masterminds for
Yeah.
years. So your passion is obvious, Matthew. And what do you like best about what you do?
I love the creative process. I love being able to tap into people's lives and be supportive of them taking something that they were first experiencing as negative and helping them transform it into something where they're at least neutral. But I love it when they are able to take something negative and transform it into something positive, turn lemons into lemonade per se. I love that process. I get a lot of juice from that.
Yeah, there is a lot of juice out there to be had, no doubt about that. So I really appreciate you being on today. This is my first podcast. I'm pretty stoic. And you're very good, so I appreciate that. You're being gentleman enough to jump on board. So, as you know, I sell real estate in the foothills of Denver, and you and Kristen just purchased a mountain retreat, which you spend a lot of time at. I think it's a real important part of your lives, and it has some congruency with what you do. And it's in the Southern California area. What do you like most about it, and why did you proceed with that purchase?
It's a great question. I think for us, it was really about creating sanctuary space away from the hustle and bustle of life that both provided us a connection to nature, but also gave us a respite from the day-to-day grind of just being a parent and having to make money and doing all the things that you need to do to live in the world today.
For sure, for sure. When you were purchasing the home, was there any tidbits of information? You know, it's a little bit different, the complexities of purchasing a mountain home. You may have a well and a septic, and you may have some easement issues and different things with wild animals or wildfires. You got to be careful of that hazard. Were there things that you learned in the process that you might point out to others that are thinking of that? And I totally hear what you're saying, Matthew. That's why so many people move to the foothills, is just for the serenity and the beauty and the peace. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, you bet. I think that for the person who's considering buying a mountain retreat in the foothills, hopefully with you,
Be
I would
awesome.
love for them to consider that you're really moving out of the safety and the security of suburban or urban living. And if we look at what the point of suburban and urban living, the point is to remove the volatility. So you basically eliminate all the animals, you eliminate all the bugs, you eliminate all the plants, and you optimize it for human living. And while that is dreamy and wonderful, and certainly one of the most popular ways to live on the planet at this moment, it also is boring. Really, really, really boring. And there is, for a new homeowner considering moving up into the mountains, the thing that I get great pleasure out of, and the thing that I would have you start to think about is volatility, variety, different, new. It's never the same. We just had a big storm come through here in Southern California, and the power was out for 5 days, and the trees were getting knocked down like crazy because they weren't ready for the ice and blah blah blah, all of that stuff. And rather than lament it, we just embraced it as part of the thing that we signed up for. We signed up for different, new, interesting, weird, strange. And that's what I love about the mountains.
So it's pretty much been what you wanted it to be for the most part. Everything.
It has been highly recommended. If you have a sense of adventure and you want to experience something new and different, then get something in the foothills.
That sounds good. That's one of the reasons my wife and I have lived here for so long. It's I'm looking outside right now. It's a beautiful view. It's serene. I can just hop out on the property here and go for a hike. Something you can't do in other places. And I think most people in the community share that mindset. So I appreciate that, Matthew. So if folks want to learn more about you, where's the best place to go? I know we mentioned your book on Amazon.
MatthewFerry.com.
MatthewFerry.com.
Just my name, MatthewFerry.com.
There you go. Cool. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think, circling back to the idea of enlightened perspectives, if someone's interested in playing around with that, then there's a practice I would suggest them to take on. And it's a tall order, but one that over time makes a big difference. And that is to practice total and complete acceptance of all situations, all people, including yourself. And then you see what happens. See what miracles occur. I think you'd be blown away by the miracles that start to happen when you take that on. It's incredible.
It seems when you do that, your mind kind of says, what? Well, why would I want to do that? I mean, all of a sudden, all these things start to arise, your opinions and your preconceived notions of people and actions and everything. And it's kind of like, it kind of gives you a cautionary mode to, hey, what's going on? But it's absolutely wonderful and peaceful as well. So
yeah, it's amazing.
Thank you, Matthew. I appreciate you being my first guest. And it's wonderful to see you.
Podcast number 1 is done. Yeah, nice.
It's
nice
under wraps. So thank you very much.